Hey, we're live right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome our guest speaker for today, the Professor Drew, and our guest for today. And please, I'd like to know where you're connecting from, your name, so that we can, welcome you well. And before we go into the show, I just want to tell you a little bit about what we do in making a difference with Sandra Ukoh. I'm Sandra Ukoh. I'm a Master Leadership Certified Coach and Speaker. I'm also an author and a sales expert. And today we have a special guest with us, a professor, and she's going to be telling us a story. But let's just go straight into the intro. Hi, you're welcome to Making a Difference with Sandra Ukoh. I believe there is a great giant in you waiting to be discovered and unearthed. You have within you right now all that you need to become that change agent and the best version of you that God has made you to be. It is time to ignite you and discover your greater potential and to see the possibilities that exist within you to help you maximize your potential. Through this unique platform for mentoring, training, teaching, and coaching people on how they can become better versions of themselves after being through trauma and trials in their finances, business, career, relationships, and a lot more. At Making a Difference with Sandra Ukoh Live Show, we leverage the power of storytelling, coaching, mentorship, and value creation to help bring about the best in people in order to create a world of difference. This show requires bringing us to assessing our value system and process of recreation of a good value system to help shape our thoughts through the guests that share their story on this platform. This process opens our eyes to new strategies, information, and value perspective that will help us define and refine our value system with more clarity on our why. We need to know our why. Why am I here? What have I been called to do or to solve? To help people live with a mindset, begin with the end in mind, and to stand out in all that we are called to do. You can join us live on Monday at 5 p.m. EST, 10 p.m. West African time. And if you have a great story or testimony to share, you can reach us via our contact info@deepinsightword.com. We will respond as soon as we get your details, or you send us the details via this link. Thank you, and you are welcome to today's episode. Hello. You're welcome.
Hello.
I hope you felt welcome. Good to have you this morning. I know
Thank you.
that you have a lot on your plate and you're a very busy person. So I'm honored to have you this evening. And I before we go in, I just want to quickly read your bio. Just a moment. Um, Drew Pierre, aka Professor Drew, has been tracing a family history in Virginia and North Carolina since 1994. She's a native of Newport News, Virginia. She is the author of several blogs, including Find Your Folks. Mrs. Pierre is a member of the Hampton Roads Afro-American Historical Genealogy Society and Toastmaster International. Wow. Drew Pierre has a long career in teaching adult office and computer skills and conducting family history workshop for online, local, state, and national organizations. She currently works for an apartment complex as a resident service coordinator. In addition to concluding genealogy workshop, Mrs. Pear is also involved in community theater through acting, doing backstage work, and writing and directing productions. She also has developed several genealogy and historical programs in her community, including Sunday Crowns, which focuses on the legacy of church arts in her family and in African American churches. And today we have with us Mrs. Pear. Great to have you, Mom.
Thank you.
Yes, we like to know you better. Our audience would like to know you, what you're doing in your world that is making where you're making a difference in your world. We want to hear from the horse's mouth. So you need to tell us some of the things that were not on your bow and that you were doing. We like to just know you better.
Okay, well, thank you. Unfortunately, I'm losing my voice today, but
So sorry.
I hope that I am clear.
You are.
Well, at this point in my life, I feel I'm making a difference in various aspects, and whatever I do, whether it is my profession, whether it is a hobby, I strive to make a difference. I feel that even though currently I work as a resident services coordinator, and with that job at the apartment complex, as an apartment complex in my community, with that job, I do a variety of things in serving the residents of that apartment complex with our seniors, with our elderly. Oh, I'm sorry, well, the same thing, elderly, with the children. I run an after school program and provide various activities for the kids, as well as the parents and so forth. So it is an extension, it was a new career path for me. It is an extension of what I have done over the years as a teacher and an educator. I consider myself overall an educator. Even in this position, I help educate the residents of the community and providing them with resources that they need to advance in life.
Oh, that's awesome. Helping your community. That's a mark, making a difference in your community. That's awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much for that. And eternity is always the what will pay you, and I will tell. All we do in life, it's eternity will tell the impact you've made, the people and the lives you've touched. And I'm glad to have you on this show today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to find out from you what is a story from your college, going to college, what informed you to go into college, and how have you managed studying in college to your present state?
Well, going to college for me was a big deal. First of all, getting a high school diploma, because neither of my parents or my grandparents had a high school diploma. So the first
Wow,
step
that's a great one.
was getting a high school diploma. So
Mm.
that was a big accomplishment. I loved school. I was very good in academics, and I was surrounded by teachers and classmates who had the college mindset, because I did not have that in my family, since, as I said, my family didn't even have a high school diploma. So I knew that I was going to college, and it was a big stepping stone for me to go to college to further my education. I graduated from Virginia Union University in Richmond, Virginia, with a bachelor's degree in business administration. And I was fortunate to receive a 4-year scholarship. I recall that my
Wow.
grandmother, prior to me going to college, always talked about going to college. And we were making the bed, and she said to me, how do you think you're going to college? You don't have a brown penny. And I said to her, Grandma, I don't know,
I don't
but
know.
and so it was during that time, with my spiritual walk, with my faith in God, I believed in prayer. And that's what the way she raised us, and believing in prayer and believing that God would make a way despite my family's circumstances. And so I was very eager. I stayed at the guidance office at my high school with any information they put out. And so a scholarship
Excuse
information
me.
for Virginia Union came through, and I applied and I received that. And so that was a tremendous stepping stone to be able
Awesome.
to advance
Awesome.
myself, to advance, with my family and so forth, and to do something different than my ancestors. They didn't have those same opportunities. And so that led to a variety of things throughout my career.
Wow, that's a
In,
landmark.
in teaching, I didn't intend to be a teacher, but somehow I evolved into that. In teaching office skills, because I worked in the office, teaching office skills, teaching computer skills, it has led to an exciting career in a variety of things. So that was a huge stepping stone for me. And later on, I got my master's degree, and I also got a fellowship that paid for that. So I'm fortunate that
Oh my
I
God,
don't.
that was a testimony.
I'm fortunate that I don't have any. I never had any student loans. I know that's a big deal for,
Wow, this is awesome.
but definitely it was the blessing of God that provided those opportunities for me, so that I could help others. Because now, as I
And that's
said,
what you're
I'm,
doing.
I'm able to help my community. This is the apartment complex is in the community where I was born and raised, so I'm able to I understand the residents and the struggles because I'm a part of the community. I had similar struggles growing up, but God blessed me with different opportunities
No,
to
that's
be able
awesome.
to advance through education, and He has placed me in a lot of different positions for which my family never went to. He just opened up doors that I never anticipated,
Mm.
and so therefore I'm able to help the
Others.
children and help others because I know through hard work and through opportunity, there are opportunities out there that can help even the residents and others in the community that I encountered that can help them to advance. They don't have to live the same life that their ancestors lived, because we
Yes.
have different opportunities. So
Yes.
I'm very thankful for the position that I'm in now to be able to give back. That really brings me joy to be able to give back to the children,
Oh my God.
share knowledge with others in the community.
You've been a blessing. I would say this is an achievement beyond the ordinary, going beyond what any pastor that anyone has, set for you in your upbringing. You went beyond it. You had a BSc, you had an I college diploma that no one ever had in your family. You went beyond having an high school diploma. You went to having BSc. You went beyond having BSc to MSc. That's a great one. And I want to say God came through for you. I think prayers does work. And that's why I tell people, I
Yes,
said, prayer work. Prayer is like a bank. You're banking it. It might not come true immediately, but so much of the prayer goes and store up for you and they come working for you. So it's a life of prayer that actually stood you out. God made a
right,
way. You have the scholarship. Oh my God. Throughout your BSc, you went again back to masters. Whereas some people
right.
never got even one. That's a great one, and that's a great testimony. We owe everything to God. We give glory to God. Because that couldn't have happened if you never trusted
Yes,
in God. And that's why I tell our young people, you need to plug in. You need to find a community where you belong. You either belong to a church where you can get help from ready men and also find God very early in life. Because if you do find God very early in life, you're able to, work in the right parts. But if you do not find God early, you probably would work round the clock, wasting your time, being busy doing nothing. But I guess because you had God in you and you were prayerful, God came through for you. I appreciate that. And that's a great one for our youths, for those finding it difficult to go to school or finding it difficult that, oh, it's not possible. My family never, nobody went to college, nobody went to high school. You can start that difference. You can make a difference. You can start it. You can break that genes. You can go beyond what your family line stopped at. You can make that difference in your family. And that's what you're doing, Miss Pierre. You're making a difference in your family. I'm sure there's no one who's talking now. They'll be making reference to you. If any of their kids are saying, oh, it's challenging going to school, I can get money, they would use you as a reference. And I love what you're doing back. You got it. You, even though you had a bad past, you never had it going well for you, but God came through for you. You have decided to give back what you have to others for free. Some people would want to charge money, but you've given it for free and you are really making and you are really touching lives. I want to thank you for that you're doing. And that's why I tell people, I say, some of the things you do, you might not get paid by anyone here on earth, but eternity, God will pay you in return because you're sowing and touching lives, you're impacting life. Thank you for so much for that. I also want to find out from you, and one of the reasons I'm asking this question is that we find that there are a lot of youths, when things don't go right for them, they want to end it all. They want to throw in the towel. Some of them commit suicide. Some of them just abandon their dreams and just walk away from it because it's difficult. But life was never promised to be a bed of roses. Success without failure is no success until you fail because you learn. And that's why John Maxwell will always tell you keep failure and success together for they keep you resilient. Can you tell us a story when you had low moments? How did you manage? I know that it was difficult getting into school. That's one of your low moments, but God came through. But other low moments where you had difficulty in doing some things, how did you manage to go through trauma, trials, and today you're a success? We want to hear from you.
Well, there have been many low moments. One was within, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago, where I worked for an organization for 17 years, and things changed in management and so forth. And so I was no longer at that organization, and I was in my early 50s. And so that was a life changing uh, event for me with my career direction in particular. As I mentioned, with the current position, I would have never thought that I would be in this current position. But when I look back on that period of being in an organization for 17 years and then you're no longer there, there was a big transition, as I said, career wise, where I was doing technology. My focus was teaching and technology and those types of things. But I can see the hand of God now in that he wanted to direct me in a different career path, such as what I'm in now, where I do the education and the teaching and so forth, but it's more people oriented. During that probably 2011, 2012, I felt the need to get involved in my community. Excuse me. And so I got involved in community theater. I Since I was like 14 or so, I was writing plays and things and so forth. And so I got involved in that. I saw that as a teaching tool for young people in my community. So I wrote a play and I got young people to perform it. It was performed at a local theater.
Wow.
And that was a teaching tool to teach them history. It was based on Juneteenth. And
Mm.
so to teach them history, I used that as a mechanism to teach them. And so as I began to get involved in that and other community endeavors, I had the desire to have a career doing something community wise and something similar to what I do. But because of my previous experience, I couldn't see how I could get in that. But as I look back on that period, that transition of being in an organization 17 years and then not being there and trying to find myself, here I am in my 50s, trying to find out where do I fit, I can see how God guided me through that. And so to the point that I am now, where my current position, which I've been in a little over a year, it came by a miracle of God to get me into that. All the different skills, all the different experiences I had qualified me for that. And so I was able to combine the community work with my professional work in education, all of those things to get me into the position that I'm in, where I'm working in this community that is part of my community as well, and being able to give back. So sometimes in life, major things happen. We may, whether it's a marriage or job or whatever, and something happens where you're no longer in that and you're wondering why.
Why?
And sometimes you feeling like feeling lost, because during
Yeah.
that period
And painful.
I was just doing different things just to pay the bills. It's like, where do I fit? I felt like nobody want me. And as a person in their 50s, everybody wants somebody younger. I'm too old. What's going on? But I could see God's hand and how he was working on me during that period, that time
Yeah.
of rest, redirection. And then as the Bible says, in the fullness of time,
It makes
when it
sense.
was time for me to, even though I didn't know where I should go, but when it was time for me to take the current step that I'm in with this current job, everything fell in place. I didn't do anything to initiate it because I never saw myself in this type of position. It came to me.
That's
And
awesome.
so God does that through life. That was
God is a
you
loving
know,
Father, and you never saw it coming, and I'm sure you never thought of it. So have a plan to say, oh, maybe 5, 10 years, I'm
I
going to be
never thought to even look there.
here. And yes, that's right. Change can be painful, and change in life is the only constant thing we all will go through. It could be painful, but sometimes they're disguises. They come with opportunities in them. And when you don't embrace those changes, you miss out. And I'm glad you did embrace it. It could be painful, but they open you up to all the skills and better life. Maybe if you never left there, you probably would have left there much later in life and would not be able to do any
Right.
other thing. But God was preparing you,
Right.
in getting you settled in life. And God sees the future from the beginning. And that's why when you said in the fullness of time, He makes all things beautiful. That's what God is doing. And you said you got new skills, you became better skilled and fulfilled, and you're able to transit, and God redirected you to what you're doing presently. That's awesome.
Right.
Sometimes, we are human. Some of us don't come with plans, we don't have plans, and things happen the way they happen because God wants a better plan for you. God has a better plan for you. And
Right.
He sees the end. He wants to set to you, He wants to redirect you to something more fulfilling so that
Right.
you age gracefully, having time for Him, having time to give back to the community, having time to impact lives. Because we've all been called to be an ambassador of Christ here. And so if we are doing things that is not giving us that room to impact people, God would move us. And that's what happened to you. I'm glad you took it with a great stride, with maturity. And some people will be like, oh, why me? Why me? Or some people will cry and feel so bitter. And I tell people, I say, when you go through challenges in life, they either leave you better or they leave you worse off. So you either pick. There are two things it does to you. Either you're better for it or you become worse. But I'm glad your story turned the other way around. It was a great one. Thank you. And I'm so full with so much story, so much testimony from you. That's awesome. So I want to find out, how did you manage with all the changes in life with family, finances? Of course, when you were out of job, your purse is going to be lean. You're not going to have much money as you would love to have. How did you manage with finances and with family members, networking, people standing in for you with the children, with the family? How did you manage? One reason I ask this question is to let people know that there is nothing too bad or too much for you to go through. You go through them, they make you better. Either if your business is going through a phase in life, it's either to make your business get better. It's either it makes you yourself to learn some new skills or get you a better position in life. So, how did you manage with finances, with family members standing in for you, with your family relation, and how did you manage relationship with others? Because sometimes we find that outing people hurt people because they are out, they want to hurt everyone around them. Sometimes we go through painful situations because God wants to train us to be there for all the people coming, to encourage others to say, oh, I went through it and this is how God helped me and I came through, I became a success. But some people were like, no, because I went through it, I want somebody else to go through the same pain I went through. But we are people of difference. We see value in ourselves and we see value in the people that God has placed around us, and we want to give them value too. How did you manage, ma'am?
How did I manage? Well, besides, depending on God, one way I managed was, and some of the things that were humbling during that period of time was also experienced some health problems when doing that transition. Is I'm the eldest of my family, and so I've always been the trendsetter for my three sisters and I. And so one of my sisters initially helped me financially, and that was humbling for me because I was always the one to
Give it.
bail everybody out and and be the one that's always got it together. But I learned to be humble, and so that helped me initially. Other things were having good friends. I have
Wow.
three close friends who are like sisters, like big sisters.
Mm.
Uh, two of them, uh, two of them are retired, and I met all three actually through different different jobs throughout my life. And so, having these three individuals in my life with their wisdom, somebody to talk to, even during times where I didn't want to talk, they kind of helped bring me out. If I didn't want to talk, check up on me, but having their wisdom, talking through
The
all my
seasons.
feelings regarding the transition,
Yeah.
seeking guidance, uh, helping me with identifying resources just to, make it, whether it's
Oh my
food
God.
or whether it's various things during that period of time. And
Wow.
also, keeping me encouraged because there were a lot of low moments
Mm.
because, you know, at my age and so forth, you're wondering why is this happening? What am I supposed to do? Woe is me. I mean, I went through a lot of that. And when, doors being closed, you don't understand. Well, I wasn't understanding because I wasn't as focused as I should have been of why certain doors were being closed. But when I look back now, I can see why certain doors were being closed
Yeah.
because God during that period was working things out in me in that
Yeah.
transition
Working at the best.
from that particular organization and other, jobs, that particular time, working things out in me to get me in a totally different direction. And let me point out one of the friends who I work with in that organization. She said to me before I left that she said, "I'm excited about what God is going to do with you."
Wow.
And she has been one of the ones that has walked me, helped me through that. We have a very close relationship. And she was also instrumental in me getting my current job. She just mentioned in the conversation, and she said, "I didn't think you were interested because I thought you were like looking at something else." I said, well, I'm open to look at that. That's something I would have never looked at myself. So she was part of that journey and helping me to get to where God wanted me to be. And God uses other people when we're in
Yeah.
these transitions of life to get,
Yeah.
especially when it's a major transition where we have no idea that we should be over there because we've been over here for so long.
Mm.
And God is saying, okay, that phase of your life is over. I want you to do something else. And he gets us to that, even with when we have no idea what that even is.
True. And that's why I tell people, I said, God doesn't come down from heaven to help anywhere. God sends men. God uses men to reach men. And
Right.
that's the same thing. We have to reach others. You can see that that there's a saying that says that three things that makes a man: the resources, the books, the resources that you're allowed to put inwards in you, the people you hang around, and the environment you grow. I'm glad for you that you had great friends, get great people to network, great people to be by your side when you were having those low moments. I try to let people know that you need to plug into a system, have good relationship and good friends. Reason being that there's a saying that says, "Woe to you that is alone in the day of trouble." When you are alone in the day of trouble, when trouble comes, there is no one to help you. There's no one to stretch your hand to say, "Oh, let me pull you out from the dungeon." There's no one to say, "Oh, I can lend you something, I can give you something." But having the right community, having the right people around you can, push you up again. And that's what happened to you. You can imagine you when you were transiting, having those low moments. You had no one to talk to you, no one to walk you through, no one to refer you to resources. How would you have been? You probably would have like, God, why me? Why is all this happening? And I love what your friend said. I'm waiting to see what God is going to do through you. She saw with the eyes of faith that God was going to use it for something greater beyond where you were working. She gave you such some kind of encouragement. And that's what we need. And that's what we need for our community. We need to be there for them. We need to be able to, be there for people when they're going through their low moments. But God planted people around you who were there to help you. And that's why I tell people, I said, find a group of people where you can belong. If you're in a wrong
Mhm.
environment, you need to run for help, cry for help, look for a coach, a mentor, someone to mentor you, someone to guide you, someone to lead you. Like you said, rightly said, you said you had a friend who was able to see you through those moments, who were, she was there for you. She was able to refer resources to you. There is no one who is a self-made person. God, in a way, has sent people into our lives in different seasons to help us to lift us up. So, and that was a great one. A great one. That when you went through those moments, You had people to help you. When you had high moments, what did you do? There are times you had, oh my God, I made it. I did this. How did you celebrate? I'm trying to
I
encourage people.
celebrated
Those little
with,
times when you have
well,
little
sir,
things.
first, like with doing the high moments, I usually inform my three sisters, of, that,
Yeah.
this has happened, especially during that transition period. And we usually through text or something, and then we talk about it. And then those three close friends would be next
Wow.
in celebrating the joy of whatever, the new
And
thing
that keeps
is.
it
And
going.
and we of course talk about it. We talk about the process because these are the people that were with me through the low points and who know all that
We're
has
glad to
happened. So
hear too.
I initially celebrate with them, whether just talking about it. Sometimes we go out to celebrate, but it's good to have people in your life,
Yeah.
family, like I
Awesome.
said,
Very
my
good. Very
sisters,
essential.
and then my other close friends to talk about it. And this is something I've shared probably mainly with just people I know, but it's something that definitely I need to share with others who are at the low points because we all go through life. There's always
Yeah.
something happening. And hopefully my life can be an encouragement to someone
Yes, it's true.
to
Everyone
that,
goes through diverse things. The way you
right.
receive them, the way you handle them matters. You either see them in the eyes of faith or you see it in the eyes of fear. But when you see in the
Mm.
eyes of faith, you see God coming through. But when you see with the eyes of fear, it's false evidence appearing real. You'll be defeated. So we need to see things rightly. I want to thank our audience and also want to thank you for making that time for this show today. And for those who probably were just joining now, do you have anything you want to say as a last thing or a parting words for the people, such that it can run with? For those who are joining in just late, a parting word, what would you tell
Well, I
them?
like your concept of the show of making a difference, especially in the world that we live in now where, we know it's a lot going on. And
Yeah, sure.
sometimes in some settings, people don't appear to care about others to make a difference with whatever gift they have.
In them.
It's not always about money. It's
Mm-mm.
about, we have time, we have resources. Just giving someone a kind word, a smile, or something, you can make a difference in someone's life. Or, as I
Sure.
said about my close friends, just listening to me. Even if I was talking, I was saying the same thing over and over, listening to me get my feelings out and helping me to navigate through those. That though we can make differences in that way. I have
Yeah.
learned in my life in making a difference in the different things that were in my bio and the different things that I've done is to use what I have in my hand. It wasn't always about
You
money.
said it all.
And sometimes I didn't always know how to do it. Like, for example, when I got into community theater, as I mentioned, excuse me, I started writing plays when I was 14 in church. And I did some things in church and so forth. But then I had a desire to take it to the stage. I had no idea how to do it. But I found opportunities in my community where they provided training for that. I
Yeah.
connected with people who
You
had the
can see the
skill.
importance of having a community.
Right. I connected with people who had the skill to get me to that level where I was able to take my work on a stage with the lighting and all of
Wow.
those things that I had no idea how to, as a writer, plan for those. And so, therefore, with the young people who were part of that, who I'm in communication with quite a few of them, I made a difference because through that play, I taught them history about the history of Juneteenth, the ending of slavery, and all that our ancestors
Mm.
went through. I used the gifts that I had as at that time as an educator and as a writer. And then God provided those other things and resources and people that I didn't where it was out of my league at that time. So I am grateful for my life and for what God has done in my life, and grateful for my family, in particular with my maternal grandmother, who taught us. She didn't have a lot, but we learned from her what little she had, she knew how to be resourceful. And the biggest thing that she taught us, and my sisters and I reflect on this, was she kept us in church and we learned about prayer and faith in God. That helped all four of us to
Sure.
advance to where we are.
It is said
We
that
all in
the
our
best
50s
legacy you
now.
could leave for any
And
child,
we miss her dearly. Right. Yeah, we
the
miss
best
her
legacy
dearly,
you could
but
leave for
she,
any
even
child
though she
is the
didn't think
word of
she did
God.
much in life, right? She planted that in her four granddaughters, who we spent much of our lives living with her.
Mm,
She planted that, and now we are all doing different things to advance our family and to advance ourselves and to make a difference. All four of us are doing different things to make a difference in our
awesome.
churches, communities, and everywhere. And so, use what you have is my point. Use
Yeah,
what you
you
have,
just said they are. Everyone God
whatever
created.
that might be, your gift.
Yeah, true. And you just said it all. There is something you have that can stand as a different maker. God has put, like when God asked Moses, what is it in that is in your hand?
Right.
What is it that you have in your hands? There is a gifting, there's a skill, there's something you know how to do better than others that God has put in you that you can use to make a difference in your world. I want to
Right.
thank you for making a time to come to, talk to me. I learned a lot from you and also to the audience. I'm in my journey too. And I don't want you to feel I've arrived. I am still in the journey of learning. We are all learning. Mrs. Drew Pierre is also learning. It's a limitless journey. It's a journey that nobody knows when it's going to come to an end. So we are in the process of learning. Everyone is learning. So I want to thank you, our audience, for staying through with us. I want to thank our speaker for today for an awesome moment with you. Thank you so much, Ma. I really do appreciate you. Until our next
Thank you.
episode, do stay blessed. Have a blessed evening. Bye, ma'am.
You too.